Time for a quick video, starting out with just a great American in this 1948 blue tint R346 Bobby Feller. This is the variation that's got the number on it. Bob Feller, he's got a few nicknames. My favorite is the Heater from Van Meter. I think he played at Van Meter High. Bullet Bob and Rapid Robert had a few nicknames. Lifetime 63.5 WAR, 154th all-time, ahead of players like C.C. Sabathia, Early Wynn, and Jim Bunning. He did spend 4 years in the military, so his WAR would have been a lot higher. Here's some of his stats: 266 wins, 1940 Triple Crown, 1948 World Series, 8-time All-Star, 2,581 strikeouts, a 3.25 ERA. Spit 42, 43, 44, and 45 in the military. As a U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer on the USS Alabama in World War II, also a gun captain. He debuted with the Indians at 17. First pitcher to win 24 games before his 21st birthday. On this card here, there's just a handful of these graded. Now it's pretty rare card, so not the best quality, but still a rare card. Had no hitters in 1940, 1946, 1951, and 12 one-hitters in his career. Bob was home visiting his terminally ill father when he heard about Pearl Harbor. He was also supposed to sign in those days, a few days leading up to that, a new contract with the Indian, but he volunteered for the Navy 2 days later, becoming the first American pro athlete to enlist in the war. Tried to enlist as a fighter pilot, but failed the hearing test. He received an exemption from service due to his father's health, but he wanted to go to combat anyways. Shortly before leaving for combat, his dad died of brain cancer, and he got married 5 days after that. He's got 6 campaign ribbons and 8 battle stars. Had a dispute with Happy Chandler over barnstorming games and exhibition games. Played a lot of games with Negro League players back then. The commissioners said that they didn't want them playing because they might get hurt or, different things like that. They were, products of the MLB, and they didn't want them getting hurt. But a lot of people thought they just didn't want them playing with a lot of the Negro League players back then, in the off season, because it kind of validated the talent of the Negro League players. It's also speculated that he has signed more autographs than any other person. He was one of the first ones to set up and sign autographs at events, and he always did it. So, great American, has an award named after him for players that serve in the military, the Bob Feller Freedom Award or something like that. Great American, put his country before his career, Bobby Feller. Next, moving to this 1936 S&S game card, Chuck Klein. Go ahead and show the back real quick. It's just green. He's got a great nickname as well, known as the Hoosier Hammer. Had a 46.5 WAR, ranks 379th all-time, ahead of King Kelly and Lou Brock. 2-time All-Star, won the MVP in 92, won the Triple Crown, won the MVP in 1932, won the Triple Crown in 33, but didn't win the MVP. Lifetime 320 batting average, 2,076 hits, 300 home runs, 1,201 RBIs. First National League player to hit 4 home runs in one game. Had 5 games where he had 5 hits, 36 4-hit games, 28 multi-home run games. Chuck Klein and Lou Gehrig are the only 2 players to record 400 total bases in 3 separate seasons. Now here's something it's kind of odd. He played professionally for the Phils, and they wanted to retire his number, but instead they just retired an Old English P instead of a number. And here's why. The Phillies didn't even use numbers until 1932. And he wore number 3 in 1932 and 33. Then he was traded to the Cubs, and he returned to the Phillies in 1936, where he wore number 32. Soon switched to number 36 for that season and for the 1937 season. In 1938, he wore the number 1, wore number 26 and number 14 and 39. In 40 and 41, he wore number 29 again, wore number 3 again in 1942, wore 8 in 42, and wore number 26 again in 1944. So they just said, you know what, instead of trying to pick one of them numbers, we're just going to retire an Old English P. The Hoosier Hammer, Chuck Klein. Next up, Mr. Dennis Eckersley, nicknamed Eck, had a 62.1 WAR, 168th all-time, ahead of Early Wynn and Tommy John. 1992 MVP and Cy Young Award that year. 6-time All-Star, 1989 World Series, 2-time Rolaids Relief Pitcher of the Year, and the ALCS MVP. 197 wins, 390 saves, 3.50 ER, and 2,401 strikeouts. Had a 24-year career, pretty healthy guy. First of 2 pitchers with a 20 win season and a 50 save season. He gave up Kirk Gibson's famous home run, and from 1988 to 1992, he had 220 saves. In 1990, he only gave up 5 earned runs the whole season. 0.61 ERA. Mr. Eckersley. Next up, Mr. Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. Lifetime 73.8 WAR, ranks him 87th all time, ahead of Jim Thome, Derek Jeter, and Johnny Mize. 2-time MVP in 1993 and 1994, 5-time All-Star, Home Run Derby winner, 4-time Silver Slugger, 1997 batting title, lifetime 301 batting average, 421 home runs, 1,704 RBIs, 2,468 hits. Was drafted 7th overall in 1989. I think he graduated high school his senior year and had like a 441 average. I believe it was 86. And he wasn't drafted. Kind of hurt his feelings because he knew a lot of players that did get drafted, and he knew he was better than them. So he went on to play at Auburn. He was a big-time proponent of PEDs. He advocated for more player testing and commented in 2007 after hitting his 500th home run that he was glad he did it the right way. He was not happy in 2007 when Jeff Bagwell and Pudge Rodriguez went into the Hall of Fame. He said it was no secret that they used PEDs. He didn't like it. So Mr. Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. Here's another card. Not got it graded yet, but I think that's going to look great in the slab. I don't really care if it's valuable. It might come back a good grade, it might not, but I think that sucker would just look beautiful in a slab. Frank Thomas. Next, an all-time great. Here, Mr. Cub, Mr. Sunshine, Ernie Banks. Lifetime 67.7 WAR. 126th all-time, ahead of Robbie Alomar, Andre Dawson, Biggio. Two-time MVP. In 1958, 1959, he won the MVPs. 1960 Gold Glove, 14-time All-Star, 2,583 hits, 512 home runs, 1,636 RBIs. I think this is one of the rare exhibits that's got the stat backs. He played 1950 for the Monarchs, and then he spent 52 and 53 in the military, and then late 53 back with the Monarchs. He was the first Cubs black player and the first Ford Motor Company dealer that was an African American in the country. Look at this old exhibit. He's young there. 2013 Presidential Medal of Freedom. First Cub to ever win a Gold Glove. Had the record for the most games without a postseason appearance, 2,528. Was known for his famous statement, "It's a beautiful day for a ball game. Let's play two." Mr. Ernie Banks. Thanks, guys.